Rescue workers are already warning that the chances of finding more people alive in this wreckage is very slim. The death toll has recently been updated to 46 now, and this is already being called Greece's deadliest train disaster, but that number is expected to get even higher. Now, this is, of course, a time of very deep sadness in Greece, but it's also turned into a time of seething rage among some people. As you saw earlier in the program there, protests have broken out in Athens with people hurling rocks and projectiles at the train station officers there, and police had to intervene to use tear gas to try and disperse those crowds. There were also protests in Thessaloniki, which this passenger train was headed towards. So the Greek media has spoken to these rescue workers who arrived within 30 minutes of this disaster occurring, and they described the scene as being like a bomb had hit it. And the fact that the majority of people who were on that train were young students who were returning from a long weekend holiday, that hit them particularly hard. One rescue worker mentioned that it was like pulling his own children out from the wreckage. Other passengers had to kick through windows to try and escape fires which had broken out in some of these carriages. One of them reached temperatures of 1,300 degrees, and those bodies have been so badly damaged that relatives of those on board had to also turn up to give DNA samples to try and identify those bodies. It is a scene of utter torment and heartbreak, but also a time of deep anger.
I can imagine. The train master has been arrested. The Greek Prime Minister said this is just a terrible human tragedy. What other developments are there in terms of this case and going forward? So
the Prime Minister, Kyriakos Mitsotakis, as you said, he has blamed human error for this disaster. So as a result, all the attention has now shifted to this station master who has been arrested, and he is expected to face court later today, charged with manslaughter and negligence. We should also point out that in the wake of this disaster, railway workers have actually walked off the job because they say that their constant warnings of the infrastructure needing updates and the trains needing updates were just completely ignored by their superiors and by the government. So we should also point out that in 2017, during Greece's financial crisis, the country sold its railway operator to an Italian company as part of the conditions of its bailout program. So from there, they were expecting hundreds of millions of euros to be poured into the infrastructure. That obviously hasn't happened, or it hasn't happened to the speed at which they want it to happen. And so you have the Italian company that bears responsibility for passengers and freight, and then you've got the Hellenic Railways organisation, which is in charge of infrastructure. So these two bodies are going to be under some serious scrutiny in the weeks and months to come.
Yeah, and as you said, people saying this was an accident waiting to happen, which is the tragedy. The Transport Minister has resigned. Is he going to sort of be taking the fall for this?
Yes, so Kostas Karamanlis, who shouldn't be confused with the former Prime Minister of the same name, he visited the site alongside the current Prime Minister, and he approached the media straight away and announced then and there that he was going to step down as the Minister for Transport. He was obviously very emotional as he made this statement, but in his speech he also mentioned that the current government has, quote, inherited a Greek railway that was incompatible with 21st century standards. That's a damning assessment in itself. And he says that in the past 3.5 years they've done everything they can to remedy it. Obviously that hasn't happened. So the Greek government has since announced that they will be paying for the funerals of the people who have died in this disaster. But that, of course, serves as the coldest of comforts during a time when this is going to get extremely heated.
Yeah, indeed. Manny, good to talk, and thanks for bringing us up to date.